deal was underway for your release. I heard the news, and a week ago, and at the time I felt that was the last part for my release, the missing part. I was very happy with such news. I cannot describe my feelings at the time. However, I felt that I will be facing difficult times to come.
Did you feel abandoned, forgotten, or were you certain that the negotiations for your release will bear fruit?
During this period, did you ever believe that the negotiations will be fruitful? Following the broadcasts of the video that showed that I was still alive, did this represent to you as a first step towards your release? I think that the broadcasting of that clip, TV clip, through coordination of the security services amongst them. However, for me, that meant nothing for me. It meant a lot for the other people, but not to me.
To tell the world and your family that you're alive. Why just once? Why didn't it happen again?
בבקשה, אנו שאלנו את השאלה הזו קודמת. אנו סأלנו السؤال ده من شيء. ماشيين بالترتيب.
We just want one question at a time, please. I feel that he's not feeling well, that's why I'm asking more than one question.
تاني من فضلك. ما ده انا سألته له أجبه المرة اللي فاتت يا فندم، ده أجبه المرة اللي فاتت.
اوكي.
لا إلا أنت نسيت أو غيره. طب.
It was the Egyptian national security that mediated for your release. There were previous failed mediation efforts, including one by the Germans. Why do you think that this time round the mediation was a success?
لقد كانت مجهودات كثيرة ومحاولات كثيرة.
Many efforts for your release, but failed even through the German mediator. Why do you think that this time the mediation was successful, especially when the Egyptian mediator was involved and it led to your freedom? I think the Egyptians succeeded through their good relations with Hamas and also with the Israeli side. These relations have helped the conclusion of the deal.
What have you missed most while in captivity, and what's the first thing you want to do when you get home?
What have you missed most in captivity? What will you do when you leave prison or you're out of captivity? Obviously, I miss my family a lot. And also I miss my friends.
اشتقت كثيرا لأن ألتقي
meeting normal people, to talk to them, to tell them about my experience through these years in captivity. I have a lot to do when I'm free. What has the experience taught you? What have you learned? What are the lessons that have you learned from your times in captivity? It's possible to conclude a lesson, an important lesson, which is the conclusion of a deal to free a prisoner in such a short time,
Gilad, you've known what it's like to be in captivity. There are more than 4,000 Palestinians still languishing in Israeli jails. Will you help campaign for their release?
Following your freedom, and as you know, you know what it means to be in captivity for 5 years. Now that you're free, there are at least 5,000 Palestinian prisoners inside Israeli prisons. Is it possible for you to start a people's campaign for the liberation of these prisoners?
גם במאסר, שכמוך היו גם במאסר. אתה רוצה לעשות משהו ותשתתף בכל הליך כדי לשחרר אותם? מאוד נשמח שהם ישתחררו.
I will be very happy if all these prisoners are free. Prisoners are free, so that they can be able to go back to their families, loved ones, and to their territory. It will give me great happiness if this happens.
What are your plans for the future?
What are your plans for the future? I hope that this deal would help the conclusion of a peace between the Israelis and the Palestinians. And I hope that cooperation links between the two sides will be consolidated. Do you want to add anything else? Something else? Thank you very much, Gilad Shalit.
So that interview with Gilad Shalit given to Egyptian television, he spoke about the fact he knew a week ago that he was due to be released and said he couldn't describe his feelings when he heard, but that he knew that there would be difficult times to come.
Yes, he said that they'd been lonely years, all 5 years and 4 months of them, of course. But he said that he always believed that the day would come when he would find himself outside of prison. He said he missed his friends and family and wanted to tell them about his experiences in captivity, and said he had a lot to do now that he was free. Quite an ordeal to have to give that first interview after just being released from captivity in Gaza.
Yes, he looked pretty pale, didn't he, and slightly laboured breathing, taking his time. At one point, the minder stepping in to say he wasn't sure that Shalit was feeling well. He didn't want too many questions coming at him at once. Well, let's bring in our correspondent, Richard Galpin, who's at the Kerem Shalom crossing in Israel. Tell us a little bit about the significance of where you are, Richard.
Well, it's hugely significant. There has been a campaign by Mr. Shalit's family for the past 5 years, pretty much, to get him released. And that campaign built up really last year with a march from the north of Israel, the Shalit's home, all the way to the Prime Minister's residence in Jerusalem, where they were camped out for 15 months, demanding that the Israeli government should do something to secure his release. Now it has been done. You know, and for the whole nation, it's a very important moment because, you know, here there is national service. So pretty much every family has someone, a relative, a close relative, who's in the military or who has been in the military and is therefore part of the reserve forces. So it's, you know, almost, you know, an act of faith, really, that the Israeli government has to try and get back any captured Israeli soldiers. And they've done it in the past. They've done previous big prisoner swaps in the past, but this is the biggest one so far, in the sense that, you know, it's one Israeli soldier for more than 1,000 Palestinian prisoners.
We're just looking at some of the latest pictures coming in and getting a sense of Gilad Shalit's movements. We've just had it confirmed by the Israel Defense Force that he has spoken to his family now for the first time, of course, in 5 years, which is pretty momentous. And our understanding of where he is now, he was due at the Kerem Shalom crossing where you are. What do we know exactly about his movements?
Well, what we understand, we just had a briefing from the spokesman for the Israeli military, and interestingly, he said that Gilad Shalit actually walked across the Kerem Shalom crossing just over there, and we believe that he's now in a local military base where he's obviously undergoing further medical examinations. They obviously really need to determine how he is, what is his state of health, and also his state of mind after such a long period of captivity. And then, if they're happy about how he is, then he will be taken in a helicopter to another bigger military base north of here. And it is there that he will meet members of his family. Crucially, he will have that absolutely key meeting with his parents, who, as you say, they've not seen or heard from him for 5 years now, more than 5 years. So that's going to be a very, very emotional reunion. Also there, actually, at that Tel Nof military base will be, or is actually, we know he's already there, is the Israeli Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, Defense Minister, and the Chief of Staff of the Israeli military forces. So crucial meetings, and we expect that he will spend a fair bit of time there, several hours, before he's then due actually to fly back with his parents to their family home, which is right up in the north of Israel, close to the border with Lebanon.
OK, Richard, thanks very much for now. Richard GALPIN live there at Kerem Shalom in Israel.